Experts are asking the National Assembly to make haste on the amendment to the Constitution before 2023 politics begins, as some Nigerians are now also calling for restructuring. And a section of youths in the ruling APC are angry about the leadership of the party. They have now set up what they described as a parallel caretaker committee. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Day live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimale in Abuja. We're keeping tabs on the report submitted to the Lagos State government by the NSAS panel of inquiry over allegations of police brutality and the incident which occurred on the 20th of October 2020 at the Lekki toll gate in Lagos. The Justice Doris Okwobi-led panel has submitted his report, and there are indications that the details are far-reaching, but the Lagos State government says a white paper on that report will be released in 2 weeks. And now, since we started a countdown, it's now 1 day to go. Our eyes are on the matter. So we'll be looking forward to the release of the white paper, hopefully tomorrow or next. We'll see what happens with that. But let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
Personnel of the Nigerian Correctional Service Just Custodial Center are on the trail of 252 inmates that escaped during the attack by gunmen on the facility on Sunday evening, with 9 inmates rearrested by the Nigerian police, while 9 were killed in the melee and 1 officer of the Correctional Service also killed in the shootout. In a statement by the Correctional Service Public Relations Officer Francis Enobore, some of the attackers and a total of 262 inmates escaped in the pandemonium before reinforcement came from other security agencies to restore sanity. Members of the National Association of Nigerian Students in the southwest Nigeria have described the decision by the federal government to increase pump price of PMS through the removal of subsidy as an attempt to pauperize and subject them to more hardship. At a press briefing held at the Iwe Iroyin House in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, the leadership of the union in the southwest called on government to rescind its decision to avert crisis of unimaginable proportion.
The government decision to increase the price of petrol by more than 200% is a perfect recipe for an aggravated pile of hyperinflation and astronomical increase in the price of goods and services, as this will open a wide door to unintended social consequences such as the generation of current insecurity crisis and possibly citizen revolt.
The Kwara State Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak has tasked politicians in the state to spare thought for the development of their communities, as that would reduce youth restiveness and unemployment to the barest.
One issue that has dragged over the past years, or over the past administration in Nigeria, is the issue of restructuring. Nigerians have heavily criticized the Constitution, the 1999 Constitution as amended, and the manner in which it was constituted or put together. There have been efforts to amend to meet the yearnings of Nigerians. There have been efforts also about 4 different alterations that have been put into this present constitution, but the last was not successful in the 8th Assembly. Another constitution amendment is ongoing now, and civil society organizations are asking that the efforts on the process needs to be hastened before the 2023 political activities get more intense. There was a meeting today in Abuja organized by the Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, PLAC. They said Nigeria is racing against time if the necessary fixes must be done before 2023 fully kicks off. Take a listen to the experts who spoke at the event.
We do know as civil society organizations that the issue of constitutional review is very critical. The 9th National Assembly has committed to review of the Constitution. The 9th National Assembly has also defined priority areas And those priority areas include electoral reform, judicial reform, local government reform, and fourthly, women inclusion and participation. These constitution review committees are looking at all of this in a very incremental fashion, and it is us as civil society that have a major role to play in pushing as far as we can.
The subject of immunity. Some of us believe very strongly that there is need to amend Section 308, I think that's the section, on immunity of the governor and his or her deputy, the immunity of the president and his or her vice. And some of us very strongly believe that that blanket immunity, even though it is for the duration of their tenure, is not consistent with current trends.
All right, you heard them there. Meanwhile, the call for restructuring has not stopped. Elder Statesman Chief Edwin Clark is asking that the ruling APC should consider implementing the report on true federalism, a committee's report headed by Governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai. Edwin Clark believes that that report needs to be looked into.
If the government in power in 2015 says that in our manifesto, restructuring of Nigeria for a better Nigeria is number one, and you came to power in 2015, now we are in 2021, only 2 years more for you to go. You are not talking about your constitution. So your party said, look, let us put it in writing. It was in our manifesto. Let us set a committee to examine this issue of restructuring. And the party did it. What are they waiting for? Are they waiting for PDP to come into power before executing their own report? The National Assembly has been spending 1 billion naira every year on amending the Constitution of Nigeria. For years now, they've not been able to do so. So, if the APC is the party ruling Nigeria today, it means it has power. Under President Buhari, to implement whatever they want to implement in the interest of Nigeria.
Now, Chief Edwin Clark there, Elder Statesman. Let's get some insight on this matter, because amending the Constitution is no joke. You know how much of controversies, how much of division, how much of debate this has generated on key areas in the Constitution. The issue of security, a lot of people believe that amending the Constitution can help fix some of those areas. Issue of disagreement about sharing and allocation of resources in the country, a lot of people believe that fixing the Constitution will help amend it. So I'm being joined tonight by a senior advocate of Nigeria, Professor Epiphany Azinge. Thank you so much, Prof, for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
We are raising against time, isn't it, on this amendment?
Yes.
8th Assembly couldn't have it done. But if you look at what we face today as a people, how urgently do we need to fix this Constitution?
To a very large extent, I believe that there is every need for us to fix it as soon as possible. But I can say with some authority that a lot of work went into the Constitution review, because I played some part in that regard, and to that extent I'm in a position to speak authoritatively. And I can say that before September ending, a lot of work, wider in scope and dimension than any can imagine, and far wider than the NGOs are talking about. A lot of work has been done. Now, one was thinking that maybe moving forward by December, January, that it would have been done, and it is now for the National Assembly to to invoke the provisions of Section 9 or 8, as the case may be, in order to drive home the process. I wouldn't know why there is a little bit of vacuum in the process at this point in time. But I'm still very optimistic that even if it is the whole 2022, the length and breadth of 2022, or even before the end of midterm 2022, I believe that a little bit of shove and the work will be done. And I believe that it is something that Nigerians will be very, very proud of and happy about. I also believe that one should also commend the Ninth Assembly for the efforts made so far, for the intensity, the vigor, and the passion committed to the review so far. And one can say without equivocation that they've committed themselves to a very large extent in ensuring that so much will go into the review and so much likely to come out as the case may be.
There are a lot of areas, though. People are talking about boundary adjustment, state creation. I'm not sure those are really the priority for this constitutional amendment. In fact, if you look at Section 8 and you see the process that will enable the National Assembly to effect or the alteration or the amendment or review of boundaries and state is a long process, which a lot of people think state creation might not be our priorities. But if you're talking about priorities, what are those critical priority areas since you're privy to those review?
Well, so much has been done in the area of the whittling down or rearranging the exclusive legislative list. The issue of state police resonated clearly, the role of traditional rulers, amongst others. Of course, you've heard that the issue of immunity for top officers, either governors or presidents and the rest of them, were also clearly mentioned, among so many. It is difficult for one. And of course, the state creation aspect of it is not completely ruled out, because the issue came up and it was dealt with, but of course in a way and manner that those of us who are not within, obviously, the umbrella of membership, were not in a position to know exactly the decisions taken. But have they actually looked at that seriously? I would say yes, they have. But we are not privy to some of the information, because at that point in time, we were not made to follow smoothly exactly what they were thinking of. So I can say that a lot of work is going on. And Nigerians, like I say, will be very, very surprised, because the intensity, the vigor, the intellectual work that had gone into it, and it's like both parties, or the major parties, all working together in concert. And these are people from across the divide, both in terms of representation and what have you, and people from different parts of the country coming together to say, yes, we vote for this, we believe in this, we agree with this. A lot of work has really gone in. I can tell you that authoritatively.
I mean, I attended some of the review sessions, conversations even around the issue of change of Nigeria's name. Some people were suggesting things like, I mean, a few suggestions came on what Nigeria's name should be changed into, whether or not we are okay with the name Nigeria. If you go into the issue of state creation, I'm not even sure there's so much of that agitation from the Southeast, because if you look at the way the nation is being divided into geopolitical zones, some Nigerians, eminent Nigerians have spoken about the fact that there are 5 states in the Southeast. The only state, the only region that has less than 6 states in the region. Does that come up prominently?
No, I want to say categorically that it would appear, and from my knowledge of what is going on, Southeast is highly favored in the whole exercise going forward. I don't know what will play out on the floor of the National Assembly, but in the interim, I think preponderance of the views seem to suggest that Southeast deserves to be favored. Because,
even states like Ogun State, there are about 3 or 4 groups that came forward. Egba State, in fact, in your state, Ibadan State, those are ideas. These are states where you wonder that, oh, maybe there shouldn't be agitation for state creation in those areas.
For many reasons.
But for,
for
like
many reasons. So many people obviously requested for states, but you know it is a normality in our system, in our environment, that people should always. But seriously speaking, some were considered to be very, very important, and I can tell you that one from southeast or thereabouts seemed to resonate better than the others. I wouldn't know exactly how things will play out, like I said, when it gets back to the National Assembly, but suffice it to say that so far, so good. I believe that they've done their homework, and it is just for them to run away with it.
It's going to be interesting how some of these things play out. When they say when true equity meets, the first in time prevails. Whether or not the Southeast deserve it more than any other region of the country, or how this all plays out. But at the heart of the agitation for fixing this constitution is the issue of fairness, equity in this nation. How much of that consideration is being put? Because some of the strife that we see in this country today is based on the fact that some people feel aggrieved that they are not calculated properly into the scheme of things.
Like I said, it would appear that this time around, the night assemblies seem to be getting it right. I wouldn't speak for them in terms of what they do in their respective chambers, but those who were nominated to work on the review outside the chambers, I believe that they've thrown everything away in terms of a public interest versus personal interest. I believe that everybody seems to be working in concert. Everything is thoroughly debated. They come to their decisions, and it is so clear to everybody. I believe that they seem to show that they are working in the overall interest of the country. And for me, that is very, very excellent, because hitherto, we've never seen anything of that sort. I keep praying that if what happened outside the National Assembly is obviously played back and successfully on the floors of the National Assembly, Nigerians will commend the Ninth Assembly. I can say that authoritatively.
Because, I mean, the essence of some theorists and jurists will argue that the essence of the law is to make everybody feel okay, to make the society feel all right, let everybody feel, you know, properly integrated. And if the constitution is fixed without consideration of how the entirety of the people feel calculated into the scheme of things, if our constitution cannot give the peace and order that we deserve, I'm not sure that effort makes any sense. But I'd like to ask you, in the area of security, how much of that review can help fix some of the problems we're facing right now?
Well, it's difficult to say categorically, but a lot of emphasis on whether or not there will be state police, I believe that is being resolved in the affirmative, that a time has come for the state police. I believe that there are so many other areas in that regard that seem to have been touched upon. And one can say without equivocation, I don't think anything has been said about the military hierarchy or any of those things. But in terms of police, I believe the emphasis of the Ninth Assembly and those who are working on the review of the Constitution has been on what do we do with the police. And I think they've resolved one way or the other that there is need for state police. And we should whittle down the gamut as we have it. The only challenge is the modalities and how the structure can now work out. Whether the structure will still be tied to the apron string of the Inspector General of Police, or whether there should be other chain of commands here and there. These are the areas that they are trying to tinker with. But whether they've come to such an agreement, they have. And I believe that certainly to a very large extent will impact on the security architecture of this country at that level. I'm not talking about the military level, but at the police level. I believe that if we're able to get it right around that level, then obviously we can put certain things in check, and that certainly will impact positively on the security architecture of this country.
Another area will be what the federal government, I mean, this should be a federal state that we're running. But some people will say, if you look at it, it's more like a quasi-unitary federal system. I mean, Sometimes it looks like a unitary state. Sometimes it looks like a federal state. But the federating unit wants more power. That is the norm in the principles and concept of federalism. You're talking about the exclusive legislative list and the concurrent and the powers of the federal and the powers of the center and the powers of the federating unit. Is that also being tinkered with? Is there adjustment to whittle down the power of the center?
Yeah, well, not whittling down, but doing the right thing. Because the emphasis should be on what do we call true federalism. Federalism properly so-called. It depends. Regardless of your definition, regardless of your perspective, regardless of where you're coming from, there are certain fundamentals that we cannot toy with, i.e. that, of course, the states should have some level of authority in any federal system. It does appear that the founding fathers of the 1999 Constitution missed the point somewhere along the line. And to that extent, this is the time to rebalance and restructure, as the case may be. Now, such areas have come up. Which do we give to the state? Which do we leave for the federal government? To that extent, I believe that it is not complete takeaway. It is a question of whittling down to some extent, and in truism, what ordinarily should belong to the state. I believe that is what they are tinkering with, and at the end of the day, you will listen to robust arguments, very, very well considered opinions on some of these issues that you cannot help but say, yes, this is the way forward. And if you are called upon to vote on the floor of the assembly, I believe that you will vote out of persuasion rather than out of compulsion.
Because one of the issues that came up when the conversation around the powers of the states and the powers of the center is the arbitrariness that can come into play when states are given more power, like the issue of state policing. But does it bother you, Prof, if a state, a people have, and that's how it's captured in the Constitution rightly, you have a deposit, a natural deposit, right under your feet, right in your village, right in your backyard. Even the water that flows around your backyard, in your community, you don't have power over it. The natural resource under your feet, you don't have power over it. You cannot exploit it. It belongs to the center. And that's why people say, for equity's sake, for the sake of competition, for the sake of the state being able to take their destiny into their hands, is that kind of calculation or that kind of equation going to be balanced in this review too?
Well, I wouldn't say yes that I've heard about that it has resonated. Seriously, I don't think so. Well, we're all students of the issue of resource control flowing from 1999 with the court cases amongst so many other things. And then, of course, the agitations and the evolution of militancy and militants over a period of time, the cry of the Niger Delta region. We are all students of that. But I believe that at this point in time, it would appear from the thinking of the people of the National Assembly that it is not something they are likely to handle and handle properly.
Because, Prof, I mean, in the real sense, if you ask me, as a political journalist, one thing that I've discovered is the fact that the states, I've reported a lot of the time that some states are insolvent. Some states cannot pay salaries. Some states, without the bows and their calabashes up to the center every month, they cannot serve their people. And that is at the center of how a federal state, go to the United States, go to Canada, Australia, South Africa, I mean, most of the federal states that you have across the world, what obtains, they have the ability to take their own destiny, to be able to take the economy under their feet, to be able to take the resource under their feet and be able to use it for their own people. But in case of Nigeria, that's not the case.
Well, you are talking to the converted in the regard that it would appear that the lack of buoyancy on the part of so many of those states seem to be a hindrance to the emergence of true resource control, which is also an offshoot of true federalism. That seems to be the challenge, because it would appear that if you take away the resources and hand them over to the states, then automatically the issue of federal allocation and what have you and the idea of some of the states not being buoyant enough, most of those states will go bankrupt. They will disappear. They cannot exist as a state. So it would appear that, without saying so politically, what Nigeria is trying to do is to use some of the resources from those buoyant states in order to show off the less buoyant one. Should that be the case? I wouldn't say yes.
Isn't that the competition? Isn't that the contest about the VAT, Prof?
Exactly.
And this has come over and over again.
Should that be the case? I wouldn't say so. Now, what do we do in what do we do in reality? Because people agitate for state creation, can we constitutionally extinguish some of the states in that regard? Perhaps people may start thinking that way. If a state is not buoyant, what, for God's sake, is the state existing for? Extinguish that state, delete the state constitutionally. So, but we have not thought about that. We have talked about alteration of the constitution. We have talked about creation of states, but we have not talked about how we can extinguish a state that is not up and doing and is not capable of running as a state.
The Constitution did not have
the Constitution did not
Section 8, which deals with
Section 8 only talked about the creation of states.
An extension of boundaries.
Exactly.
Or the adjustment of boundaries.
Fine. So we did not, for any reason, imagine or configure that there could well come a time when the idea will be, how do we stop a state from existing?
In fact,
constitutionally,
if you look at the language in Section 9 about the alteration of Section 8, it tells you how difficult it is.
Of course it is difficult. Where do you get the request from?
Yeah.
To third? How do you get a referendum of the people to third? And how do you get a resolution of the House of Assembly? And so on and so forth. As the case may be, it is a very difficult, laborious process. How do you achieve that? But it will be worse trying to reverse the status quo in sense of trying to get a state that is already in existence, listed by the Constitution out of existence. That will be a milestone.
You perhaps have agitated the minds of those who believe that this Constitution is a contraption.
Well,
for those who...
yes, it may well be. I wouldn't say so authoritatively, but the truth of the matter is that the Constitution is in operation.
Yeah.
And any other thing that has to happen must be within the framework of this Constitution.
Unfortunately, it is a rigid Constitution.
It
is not so much difficult. I mean, it gives you very difficult...
So when you hear people say everything about the Constitution not being made, I believe that was late in the day. This is the Constitution we know.
And this, our fate and our destiny.
Anything that we need to do.
For those who are asking that the best way to restructure is to jettison this, look at the Confab report and see how we can birth a proper people's constitution. How easy could that be?
No, certainly not easy. Certainly not easy, because we have a constitution in place, we have a National Assembly in place, amongst others. There are so many beautiful things contained in the Constitutional Conference report. So many beautiful things.
Well, how can that be infused? Can it be infused?
By injecting them. If there are areas where you need to have a bill in place in order to bring it into law, then let the National Assembly do so. And I believe I can tell you categorically. But anytime you look at the reports of the Constitutional Conference 2014, you see that now and then things are being transferred. Yeah, transferred. So if they can continue along that line, it means that they are given breath and vitality to that same report, regardless of the fact that it is now being done by the National Assembly and not by the body that set up in 2014.
I mean, positions of people like you, sometimes if we were in the days of Plato, in the days of Baron de Montes, would probably be position of law, with law. And that's why we're very happy to have you tonight. But on a final note, one thing that gladdens my heart and the lesson that we have taken away from past amendment of the review process is the fact that some of these things can be taken in piecemeal. That means if there is no assent to some of these things, it doesn't mean that we're throwing the baby with the bathwater.
No, certainly not.
So we can actually...
It can be done piecemeal, and we should be hopeful and believe that there will be political will so to do.
You can give Nigerians the confidence that they should be happy.
I think that they should look forward to something very, very glorious coming forward.
We should see more of you, Prof.
Thank you very
Such
much.
a wonderful conversation.
Thank
with
you.
you.
I appreciate
Professor Epifani Azinge, thank you so much for joining us. Senior Advocate of Nigeria. We'll take a break, everyone. And when we return, Aliyu Audu and Mustafa Audu joins me. They might share a similar surname, but they don't agree. We shall be dissecting the internal affairs of the APC as the Mustafa Audu's group said they have declared a parallel caretaker committee of the APC. It does look like there is war in the house. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
To hit the ground running, we must have clear aims, objectives, milestones, deliverables, and timelines. These deliverables are listed below. Number 1, we have set a date of Saturday, 26th February 2022 as the date of the APC National Convention at the Eagle Square. Number 2, we have released the zoning formula of the party. This zoning formula of the party is known as the mandate of the youth. Number 3, to begin the national reconciliatory process in our great party, the APC. Number 4, to begin planning the February 26th, 2022 APC National Convention and to make sure that all APC stakeholders are reconciled before the convention. In January, we met Mr. President and he told us to go out there and change the narrative. There are enough problems existing already, and majority of these problems stem from our governors. As young people, we must stand up, be proud, be bold, be brave, and face the challenges. We are going to conduct the APC National Convention. We are going to reconcile the APC, and we are going to do it hand in hand with all our party leaders. We are not here to chastise any party leader. We are not here to say they have erred or they are wrong. Yes, we know. We are not here for that. We are here to forge a way ahead.
Mustafa Audu, that is a man you have listened to just now. He is a convener of the APC Youth Progressive Movement, those who are now called for a parallel leadership of the party. A group called the APC Youth Movement today says that they are unhappy with the state of the affairs of the APC, and they appear to have gone a step further, maybe miles further, to press their point home by setting up a parallel caretaker committee leadership to show their grievances. Let's talk about this, everyone. I'm joined by two Audus. The convener of the APC Progressive Youth Movement, Mustafa Audu, and Aliyu Audu is a member of the APC. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming.
Thank you for
You guys look similar. You look very, there's a lot of semblance in both of you. Thank you. Let me begin with Mustafa. What you're doing, you and your group, because I've spoken with some of those who do not believe, caretaker committee members of your party, who believe that this is totally unacceptable. You cannot declare a parallel leadership of the party. Where do you get your mandate from? Where do you get your the power? Where do you derive the power from?
Absolutely. Good evening, Sharon. Good evening, Nigerians. It's my pleasure to be here. In truth, our powers are derived from being stakeholders of the APC. Again, a political party is like any company that requires registration. Whenever you're registering a company, you have minimum number of shareholders. Those shareholders own that company. Likewise, when you have to register a political party at INEC, you require a minimum number of people. So it's not actually the person who registers the political party that owns it, but the people, the stakeholders. And as stakeholders of the APC, we didn't actually create a parallel CECPC. We sacked and disbanded the previous CECPC.
You did?
Yeah, absolutely.
How did you do that? Did you set it up?
Yes, we did.
You set it up, you said it is.
Oh, is that your question?
Bonin. Yeah.
Oh, no, we didn't set that. They were way beyond their mandate. Mr. President gave them a 6-month mandate with an additional further extension of 6 months. Now, in almost 20 months, they've not accomplished that target, and without a realistic attempt to accomplish it. Last week, we went to Kaduna on Saturday and declared that we were doing our convention in February. On Sunday, all the governors met up in Abuja and Asokoro, and by Monday, they went to Mr. President and said they are doing the convention in February. This is a blatant attempt to put young people down. This is a blatant attempt to silence our voice. We're tired of what's going on. We're loyal APC men. We love the APC. I want this party to continue in power.
Are you a member of the APC?
Absolutely. I'm a founding member of the APC, and I've given so much. You see, that's
sorry, let's clear this. If I may ask, do you have an identity of your party? Do you have a party number?
Absolutely. I have a party registration card. And for all Nigerians, I'm going to put this up on my Facebook, on my Twitter, on my Instagram, first thing in the morning. In fact, I'll do that right after I leave this show. I don't carry it around, obviously, for obvious reasons. You don't want to lose it. That's number one. And number two, they said we're not a registered group in the party. Again, false. This is always the false narrative. When people are telling party members and leaders the truth, they say opposition. We went to meet the former secretary, Senator Akpanudo Dehe, at his office.
Is it former?
Former. He's been disbanded.
So by you, by your
absolutely.
Group.
So now,
when you don't have the power, do you?
I'll explain.
Do you have the power?
We do, as stakeholders of the party, to correct the ills in the party.
If you look at
we met Mr. President. Let me explain to you. Wait. We met Mr. President.
Let me ask a question.
Okay, go ahead.
The organs of the party, as we understand, as we know, because there are things that the party has put in the public domain. The constitution of the party, the structures of the party.
Absolutely.
The highest structure of the party is the National Convention, followed by the NEC. The NEC has given the powers to the Governor Buni-led caretaker committee, which you said, as a member of the party, that you said you have disbanded.
Yes, the NEC gave them 6 months. The NEC never met again after that 6 months. They went to Mr. President for an extension. As loyal party members, we agreed to the extension. But the first assignment was 6 months. The second assignment was 6 months. We are 18 months, almost 18 months down the line, and there is no progress. The only progress that has been recorded was when our group said, which we represent young people, whether young people know it or not, this fight is for them. We have, our document is called the Mandate of the People, the Mandate of the Youth. We require youth inclusion in the APC. We don't want lip service.
So let me bring Aliyu in. At least he should have. Aliyu, you heard what Mustafa, your friend, has said here. Yes. How do you react to it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a confirmation of all we have been saying for over 2 months now. The APC concerned stakeholders, yeah. I mean, we realized this level of problems, was coming. Like, we came out, we said this, we wrote to Mr. President, to the Vice President, to the Speaker, to the Senate President, and our national leader, Ashwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I mean, quite frankly, most of the things he said are correct. The caretaker committee, have they overstayed their welcome? Yes. Should they still be there? No. Should we be having convention? Yes. But should it be done rightly? Yes.
But is what they are doing right?
No.
The way they are going about, is it right?
I mean, like you rightly said, the organs of the party is clear, if you understand the party. Let me tell you, whatever struggle we are looking for, I mean, beyond all of this, I'm pleased to be here, having this conversation with a young man in the APC. It's a joy to me. It's a feeling that I love, because it means that finally the young people are beginning to take responsibility and realize that, how you are governed matters. And the only way to governance is through partisan politics. We need to get involved. The politics do not have enough quality of men to run this country the way the larger population of Nigeria wants it to run. So we need to attract the bright men. We need to change internal politics from the knife and cutlass, gun and this thing to intellectual discussion. Let's have conversation about the future of our country right now, like we are having about the future of our party. That's the good thing about it.
So, I mean,
while as young people, we are trying to make sure those who are doing, the wrong thing, do the right thing. We must not become the monsters we are trying to remove. Meaning, we should ensure we go by the existing constitution of the party, even if we don't agree with it. So when we get in, we can, exploit the part we don't agree and bring in new part. But as it is right now, you can't be a Christian and, and not be subjected to the Bible. Neither can you be Muslim and don't believe in the Quran. The party constitution is the Bible of our party. So you can't be a member of the party if you don't go by it. Should opinions matter? Yes. Should a few cabal hijack the party? No. But that's what has just happened. Irrespective, it could be governors, former governors, but the only legitimate coup in democracy is through the polls. That's the convention. I agree the February announcement is not good enough. But as young people too, that want to be involved in governance, we need to learn to be patient. Patient, we need to persevere, and we need to respect the laws, most importantly, because that's the only way we get there and not be the exact same thing we are criticizing.
But I mean, what Mustafa Audu and his group, the Progressive Youth Movement, what they are doing right now, do you think is right?
Nobody, I mean, no one rightly thinking will think is right. So I don't. It's not right, of course. Do I agree with some of their sentiments? Yes. Do I agree with the way they are going about it? No. N-O.
So you think that they're forming like a coup in the party?
Pretending to form a coup in the party, to be precise. The press conference, yes.
They have a right idea, but you think they are going about it in the wrong way?
Like you asked the question. You know, before you open a door, you must have the power to open that door. So before you dissolve a committee, do you have the power?
Do they have the power?
Of course. There's only one organ with the power right now, apart from the National Convention, which we're asking for, is the NEC. Are they members of the NEC? No. I mean, what this actually means, which is not good, is that you disrespect the person and the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, even if you don't respect him as the leader of the party that you are aggrieved to it. The fact that he holds that position as the C, he is the head of the NEC. NEC is called at his instance.
Well, there are those who believe Mustafa and his friends are not members of the APC. But I'll allow you to respond to what Aliyu said.
Again, there's no point touching about membership of the APC.
I agree.
There's no, he knows.
You think he's a member?
Of course, he's a member.
I'm a founding...
Why would he want to associate with the party if he's not a member?
There are some who believe that he's not a member.
I mean, like a lot of people...
There are people who have questioned that you should show your membership identity.
Please, can we have the name of the person?
No, now let me tell you something, yeah. It's mindset or mentality like this that make people think that you have to be... There's a way you need to be Nigerian enough to ask critical questions about how you are governed. Membership of the APC right now. I mean, as a member, I'm happy to have him a member. Even if he wasn't a member and he say he is, it's a good thing to me. He's a quality person. I like such persons. Not this lot that they go and bring for us. This is the kind of person I want to have in my party. People like this. So membership... let's go on to the...
two things. Aliyu said... You guys have been disrespectful, and whatever you are doing is disloyal and illegal.
Okay, I'll start with disrespectful with Mr. President. That's an absolute lie. In January this year, 2021, 7 of us were chosen to go and meet Mr. President. We met Mr. President at the State House, and what he told us was this: if you expect things to be differently, you must begin to do things differently. We are intellectual young people. The APC has a different breed of young people. We're bold, we're courageous, we're able to speak truth to power. When Mr. President was telling us that, he didn't know some of us were listening and we were dedicated, determined to achieve that goal. We will do things differently.
So you got a mandate from the president?
Absolutely. I got a mandate, and it's on my phone, Sheon. I'm going to send it to you.
But was he expressed that you should go and disband the...
No, he said do things differently. And that goes on to the second one. He said that the Constitution is the Bible of the APC. Now, yes, the Constitution is what we follow. And if you are an honest, loyal party member, what you should do is question illegalities that go against the Constitution. Article 17 of our Constitution, subsection 1, states that the Nigerian Constitution is paramount. Subsection 4 states that no party leader holding a position as a governor can concurrently hold another executive position. There are only 3 executive positions in any political party: chairman, secretary, organizing secretary. Our current chairman of this caretaker extraordinary convention planning committee, the previous one we just disbanded, is, as I said, a governor. Therefore, what that means is that right there, we're in violation of the Nigerian Constitution. The risk we run, I'm not a lawyer, but we are all well brought up, well educated, understand that there is a problem.
And we are determined to fix that problem. Now, you must fix the problems from inside before you can go outside and speak to people. Now, in the inside, we have a caretaker committee in direct violation of our constitution. And on the other hand, we have Mr. President who has instructed us to go and do things differently. So where do we begin? Young people want to be involved. The same Senator Akpan Dehen who questions my membership as an APC was a PDP member. Not only that, he held position as a PDP man. And today he holds the most powerful position in the party, #2 position. Do you see the risk of that? Do you see the risk that we actually have a man that has lived his whole life as a PDP man is now running our party? That's number one. Wait, number two.
Is that a wrong thing?
Absolutely. A critical position, you give it to somebody who has slept with the opponent, who lived with, who was the opponent. No, you don't. That's number one. Wait,
just a moment.
Please, let me say this.
Just a moment. There are members of the cabinet who were governors.
No problem.
Who were former senators
of
the PDP, and they are cabinet members.
Absolutely. We're not
Does it make it wrong?
We're not talking about.
Is it wrong? That's what I'm saying.
It's not wrong.
But you're picking holes in it.
But let me explain to you. It's not wrong if you understand the quality and the value the person brings. If somebody is good, has value, and will add to what you have, bring them on board. Let me ask you a quick question. Sheon, I need to say this. It's critical. We met Senator Akpan Udo as a group. Except he doesn't want to be honest. And do you know what he told us? We met him maybe 4 months ago. This started in January. We met him 4 months ago and we told him, listen, as young people, we don't want PAs. We don't want essays. As long as we are concerned, that is glorified houseboy and housegirl. We want real responsibilities, real positions in the party. Let us showcase what we have and what we can bring to the table. We are far better than the positions that you have given to us.
So what did he tell you?
He told us that what we're doing is not new. That in '99, him, Dangote, Oji Uzokalu, James Ibori, and a few others came together and said nobody over the age of 50 will enter power. Those who wanted to remain in business funded them. And all of them got into power. And that's what I'm trying to tell. And he encouraged us. He said, go and do your best. And this is it. We know. Through all our interactions, we know that they are playing lip service to young people.
Let me quickly ask you this. The question is, you are from Kogi State.
Absolutely.
Your leader of the party in the state is the governor.
Yes.
Have you consulted your governor?
To be honest, no. I haven't. That's the truth. I believe that my governor is on his own path. He believes that he has something to offer Nigerians. And, you know, like any other Nigerian.
Because if you have this grievance, one would think that your direct leader in your state, you should have consulted.
I'll be fair to you, and I'll say this publicly. His Excellency Memala Buni reached out to us. He said whatever our grievances are, he's willing to discuss. And we told him the same thing. We are willing to discuss with him. But the problem is that he's not in Nigeria. The problems are happening here and now. There's a convention that should be done in February, and he's out of the country. We cannot wait.
All right. Let me allow Ali to respond to what is said.
All right. I'd like to start from the part about the getting their mandate from Mr. President. In 2013, precisely, 2013, 2014, you know, under the leadership of the current SSA to the President, Ismail Ahmed, who is the representative of the youth on the caretaker committee, we had a meeting with Mr. President too, and what he told us wasn't any different from what he has told them. You know, as a matter of fact, that the Nigeria he wants to build is for young people, you know, and he hasn't changed his position ever since then. He got into power, he passed it not too young to run bill, you know, he's done the local government autonomy, the legislative, I mean, he's done policies, he's passed laws that empowers the young people to get involved. But it is up to the young people to decide how to get involved, legally or illegally, being the monster you seek to correct or being a better version. The choice is ours.
Please,
and clearly,
I don't mean to interrupt.
Back to the Constitution.
Aliu, let me add this to what you're saying. I'm so sorry, I never interrupt, but let me tell him what he doesn't know. There is a conspiracy against Mr. President. Do you know, Sheon, what happened when Mr. President signed the not too young to run bill? Do you know what happened? The governors and the party chairman came together and said, we cannot allow these young people come in. And what did they do? The ticket went from 5 million for president, went from 5 million to 50 million. Ticket for governorship went from 2.5 million to 22.5 million. Senate went up, House of Reps went up, everything went up. Why? To exclude young people. Please carry on.
All right. With all he has said, if we young people, with all of this, I mean, let's assume that everything he said is correct. You know, they say if you are put in a position to fix a problem, the moment you can't fix that problem, you become a problem. If we, the young people, think we have more to offer than what we currently have in terms of, is it leadership of the party or governance of the country, then we've got to be able to, we've got to prove that we truly have that.
What would be your the solution and your final thought now?
The very essence of all the struggle is to preserve the party APC. If, while you sit, you ask yourself, your conscience, is this action or these utterances of mine, will it build, I mean, it's like the four-way test of the Rotary. Will it preserve the party? If your answer is an absolute yes, then desist.
Final thought? What's the way out?
What we're doing will absolutely preserve the party, and it's simple. In order to make an omelette, you must break a few eggs. This is internal democracy at its best. This is the only time young people have a chance. I don't know if he's bought a ticket to run before for office, but I have. I bought a ticket that cost me 22.5 million. And what happened? They deleted my signature from the paper and hid my birth certificate. So young people don't know the dangers. People think that get your PVC, go to the polls, or aspire, you go, you buy your form. No. The critical, the bedrock of democracy, the bedrock of everything we're doing is in the party. Right. And there are 27 positions in the party, and as young people, what we want, 12 positions for us young people, 2 per geopolitical zone, right, while them, our leaders, keep 15.
We need to go now, gentlemen. Mustafa Audu and Aliyu Audu, both of them have agreed that they are members of the APC. Thank you so much, I appreciate it. I know you guys look alike. You share the same name.
Yeah, we're from the same state.
Yeah, from the same state. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. That's our show for today. I'm sure Kimberly. Bye for now.